We are right now, like I said, we're wrapping up a bunch of little odd and ends here, and we got to start some storm drain projects for City of Gastonia. We'll be probably tied up down there for about 2.5 months, and then once we get that complete, we got a gas station. We'll be kicking off first of the year. So just little odds and ends. Got several bids out right now, and hoping to come through. Them are local jobs in Shelby and Cleveland County, so that'd be good for, easeability, I guess you'd call it.
You still having to wear all the hats right now, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Estimator,
Yeah.
Project manager, owner,
Yeah.
finance.
That's right. Right now, still, I had a guy that was working for me, and he recently left, and so I'm back out in the field every day, and I trying to kind of reestablish a standard, moving forward, and that way, whenever I fill that role, it's not just me, and the guys know, hey, this is the expectation, and if Michael was here, this is what we'd be doing, and try to instill that in all the guys, and kind of, I'm not going to say right the ship, but just reinstill that.
They see you out there doing it.
Yeah. That's right. They know I wouldn't ask them to do anything I wouldn't do.
Yeah. How many teammates you got?
Right now it's 4 plus me.
Okay.
Full time, and I got 3 part time. So yeah, I've been in business for about 8.5 years now.
I saw that. Yeah, 2017, right?
Yes, sir.
With a skid steer.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, so we started there, and I was in a job I just hated, honestly.
What were you doing?
I was working at the DOT.
Oh, okay.
And man, I was just depressed. I didn't want to get up in the morning.
What was your job?
Mostly on the patch crew, patching asphalt.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't what I done, and it wasn't the guys I was with. It was just overall mentality, just kind of, well, you settle for this, and you're going to be here. And I knew that wasn't what the Lord had for me, and I just, it really started weighing on me. And me and my wife, we've been together since I was 16. She was 14.
No kidding.
Yeah, and so I told her, I said, look, I'm wanting to do this, and if we're going to do it, we need to do it before I have mouths to feed and worry about a marriage and stuff like that. And so she's been a massive, massive, massive support, from day one, and I couldn't have done it without her. And so I went to try to get a loan to buy a dump truck, actually.
Okay.
And, I was going to get started with that and couldn't get a loan. Didn't make enough money, didn't have enough money to put down. So I got into hot shot trucking, and that was where I bought a truck and a trailer to be able to pull a skid steer with.
Gotcha.
And so started that in January of 17, and then July I bought my first skid steer. And so just kind of grew from there, and wanted to, in the Cleveland County area, I was trying to just set a standard of, hey, I want people to ride by and say, well, I know Botts done that. I wanted to be able to make a difference, and leave jobs looking different every day, and to set a standard in my aspect about, there was no question when people rode by, they knew that I'd left our stamp. That was kind of what I called it in the beginning. I wanted to stamp every job.
Man, I love hearing that. And you don't hear a lot of these stories anymore. You hear companies that started that way, and I've talked to a lot of the people, legacy guys that started the company with that one skid steer, but you don't see a lot of young folks like yourself with the story like that.
Right.
This is what you wanted to do out of school.
Yeah, and it was something I really never thought I would do, to kind of dig a little deeper. My mom's brother. Oh yeah, no pun intended, right? But my mom's brother, he actually owned a bigger grading company, and he passed away in 2009. And then my grandfather owned a company. They did a lot of kind of before their time erosion control, hydroseeding and stuff in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and did a lot of work for Earnhardt Grading and Burns and Spangler. And long story short, due to some family stuff, whenever he passed away in the late 90s, they just sold everything, liquidated out. And so it was something I always grew up around, something I always envisioned doing, and it's just grew up, though, in a single-parent household, and you know, it's a mindset thing, and it takes a shift to really climb out of places. And, you know, seeing my mom with financial burdens and stuff like that, you know, that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to do something, to have something better, you know, to not have to struggle, to be able to do for my family and provide and give those experiences. And again, that goes back to what we talked about earlier. I wasn't going to be away, you know, and when my dad took a new job, he was gone. He was out of town all the time doing grading and stuff, and that was fine, you know, but it was just, you know, we need more men. We need men involved in the children's lives and being at home at the dinner table, and that was very important to me. And so that was another one of the key reasons why I wanted to do this, was to get through that and try to build the brand to where when I did have my kids one day, which now I have, and that I would be able to be present and to provide and
good for
to
you.
Build a future for them.
Good for you.
So.
That's a, you know, that's a commitment, and that's taking things in your hands and saying, all right, you know what, this is what I want down the road, but it's going to take some sweat equity now.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to put the work in right now to do it.
Absolutely.
How old are the kids?
Yeah, Henry, he just turned 4. He's my son, and then I got a little girl, 𝗁𝘁𝗲𝗍𝗆. She just turned.
𝗁𝘁𝗍𝗆. I
She'll
love
be
that.
3 on Saturday.
Oh,
so
that's cool. Happy birthday, 𝗁𝘁𝗍𝗆.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Oh, that's
She's
great.
a fireball.
Is she?
Yeah, she acts like her mama.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. You said your dad was in grading?
Yeah, so.
But he was traveling.
Yeah, so they did a lot of work for 𝗷𝚘𝚘𝗃 Energy. They cleared a lot of right-of-ways, did a lot of right-of-way work, built a lot of substation pads, did a lot of stream restoration work around landfills.
Gotcha.
and substations, different stuff like that. And so kind of grew up around it, you know, never really had that opportunity to get involved with him. I tried. Dad's actually a really bad alcoholic. And so that was kind of another driving force, you know, to change the narrative, you know. And I read a quote probably about 10 years ago that said, alcoholism ran in my family till it ran into me. You know, and it's just things like that, you know, you try to stop a train and keep it from building momentum, and that's what I'm aiming to do with not only that, but just everything in life, you know, to be involved, to be there for my kids and my wife, and to build a future and give them something to look forward to. And so I tried to go to work for my dad, actually, and he wouldn't hire me. He
wouldn't hire you?
Yeah, he said, I don't think this is a good spot for you to be in.
Was he trying to protect you from it, or was?
I do think in ways he was. I think that just maybe the company he was working for at the time, he didn't feel that great about it. But, you know, kind of another one of those little fire starters, like, well, okay, I'll figure it out.
You walked away from that thinking he didn't think you were good enough to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when I started my company 8.5 years ago, I'd never even looked at a grade transit. And that's why I wanted to go to work for him, you know, so him and his brother could teach me.
Is your dad still around?
Yeah. He actually worked for me. He ended up, he come to work for me and worked for me for about 1.5 years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
How
Something
about
I
that?
never dreamed would happen, never really wanted to happen, but it did, you know.
How crazy is that? So Dad wouldn't hire you.
Yeah.
And then he comes and you interview him and tell him, all right, I'll make a spot for you on the team.
Yeah. He actually, it wasn't quite like that, but that's how it ended up working out, you know, and it was a good thing. We got to really spend some good time together and all. And I know one day I'll always be thankful for it, even though, you know, sometimes working with family is not the easiest thing in the world.
It was hard.
But I'll always be thankful for that time that we did spend together on the job.
Man, what a great story. And just, you know, because you don't hear that side of it. You hear guys like yourself that have come in and become part of their family's business.
Right.
But you don't see people that go off and start it on their own and from the ground up.
Right.
Even though they've been in it their entire lives and their family have been in it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I know. And it's kind of,
But you were determined you were going to do it different.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of been my thing, you know, the whole time is I do feel like I have done things a little bit different, you know, and I never have had any help, you know, as far as financially. I never have, and just started from scratch, you know, just a hope and a prayer. And the good Lord's provided. He's always provided, and he always will. And I'm very strong in my faith on that, and very strong in my belief. And, you know, we just, you put in the work, and you put in the effort, and you do things the right way, and things will work out. And it's just, you know, for me, the place I say maybe it's quote unquote held me back is just, you know, doing things like that. I mean, just reaching out, building relationships, you know, because you can go to college, you can do this and that and have a degree, but a relationship is everything.
Yeah.
You know, building a relationship, and I'm a handshake kind of guy, you know, and we got contracts, we have this and that, but I'm a little old school in that aspect, and I shake a man's hand and tell him I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And if he's not happy, I'll do it till he is happy.
Dang, Michael, I wish we'd have caught you before 2017. Man, you would have been great over here.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. It shows your character. And I don't know. Have you listened to the podcast?
Oh, yeah.
So if you listen to podcasts, you know my faith is a huge part of my journey. And I don't know how you do this work and deal with the things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis without it.
Absolutely. I say it all the time.
It's a lot.
I don't see how you do anything without it, but running a business, you know, people see the trucks and this and that, and oh, you got it made, or you got this and that, you know, but they don't see the hard. They don't see the days you're waiting on that payment to come in, that somebody's a week and a half late. They don't understand the cash flow, and the only way you're gonna do is you rely on God and you keep your faith strong in God.
Man, talk about that a little bit. So, I mean, starting a business, you go through a lot of those pains. You deal with a lot of those stressors. You're up, you know, you're working all the time, every weekend. There's no paid time off. There's no vacation days.
That's right.
What's that look like for you? Has that journey has it been tough, or?
It has, you know, but I think tough is kind of like being in shape. It's a mental thing. And, you know, you got to face everything with the right mindset. And I think if you do that, what really could be hard isn't as hard as it seems. That's one of the biggest things I've learned with trying to grow and with growth is that when you give up some of that control, that you just have to trust. And I had a hard time doing that because I knew when I was out there, it wasn't anything for me to work that extra hour to make sure at the end of that day that job site was in order, and that if somebody rode by, they'd say, dang, that's a clean job site, even though it's not done.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm not talking down on anybody that's worked for me. I've got great men that have, and I know that I'll have great men to work for me in the future. But it's you know, when it's on you, it's really not that hard because you got so much drive to try to build something and do something. And so kind of starting from scratch, you know, with nothing, you really have nothing to lose. So if I work late and then I get in and I work late and I'm getting things ready for tomorrow, or I'm working on an estimate or this or that, you know, it goes back to that mindset of, well, hey, this is what I said I was going to do, and I'm not going to quit till I get there.
Yeah, you got to have that why that you can go back to.
Yeah,
it reminds you why you staying late, why you working extra, and why you doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
It sounds like you're pretty clear on that why.
Yeah, so kind of, you know, the three things I say I wanted to do was I wanted to be there, provide for my family, be a present dad, and be there for my kids, to be able to watch them grow up, and wanted to build that standard in our area. I wanted to build Botts Grading, to be able to stamp those jobs, and I wanted to be able to make a difference. And I wanted to keep money in the county with the development coming and with the houses coming, and I wanted to kind of start building my reputation and fight to keep that there and grow my community, you know. And then the third thing was I wanted to give back to my community. I had a lot of coaches and teachers that really poured into me and done a lot for me. But I'll be forever indebted to those men. And so anytime I get a chance, I give back to my local high school and my community and the churches to be able to help mold some more men, to help them pour in and help them have opportunity to maybe play a sport and have those opportunities for men to be hard on them and teach them that if they're just willing to work hard and they're willing to put in the effort, results will come.
Man, that's great. Hats off to you.
Well, I appreciate that.
Don't meet a lot of people like that. So we're talking to Michael Botts. He's founder and president of Botts Grading. And it was kind of funny. I had a message in my inbox on LinkedIn, and you had reached out to your point, just making relationships and getting involved. And it looks like you've been doing a lot of that. You went to Dirt World Summit?
I did.
What did you think? Was that the first time you'd gone?
It was. We actually took my wife with me. We kind of made a little anniversary trip out of it a few days prior, and then I wanted to take her to see kind of what I deal with and the things that we deal with. And it was great. I was super excited. I, followed Aaron for several years now since I started really. And it was just really a good thing to get involved and get around some other people, hear some war stories. And it done a lot of good for me.
It's a great
kind of lit a fire, under me to how I should take steps and dealing with stuff and growing stuff.
And the other thing, too, for someone like yourself, it's got to show you there's so many people out there in this dirt world that are willing to help you, that'll come alongside of you, share stories with you, tell you things to watch out for.
That's right. Because we're all in it together.
Yeah.
It's one big community, even though we're competitors and stuff, it's one big community. And it's kind of with y'all, like the best is the standard is, that's something that it's a very simple statement. But if everybody had the same mindset to, hey, we're not going to accept this, we're not going to accept less than our best, and we're going to work together. And even, again, like I said, even though we're competitors, this is something that we're going to go together, and we're all going to be in the same playing field to an extent.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the dirt world's all about. It's about understanding it's bigger than just any one of us. It's about the industry.
That's right.
And making sure that this thing can keep going.
That's
and
right.
that we're looking at the next generation. We're constantly trying to improve, to get better. Aaron's opening message that was about, hey, the report card's not good right now, guys. And 𝗁𝘳 can't do that, fix that. Botts can't fix that on its own. None of those companies individually can fix that, but together we might be able to move the needle.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and that's, it's like you hear all the time, America is the standard and America is this and that. And unfortunately, it seems like in the last couple of decades we've fallen behind, and culture's changed.
You believe that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that ruffled a few feathers in the room, but you know what?
It's the truth.
It is.
That's right. It's investment. I mean, right here, this beautiful building is an amazing testament to investing in people. And I can go buy a brand new dozer tomorrow, but it's about a person, the right person being in there and running and doing. And so if you don't invest in people, it don't matter what equipment you invest in or software or whatever. And so, that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to use as I grow is like, hey, I need to be putting these standard operating procedures into place, and I need to be making sure that we have things in order to when we grow from 5 to 10, that I'm not running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to figure out how am I going to handle this. Brian said, I think it was in here with you one time, that you don't lay down at night and close your eye and lay there and stare at the ceiling. You close your eyes and pretend you're asleep. And so that's something that's really stuck with me, is that I don't figure it out then. I figure it out right now. I operate like that right now, and if growth comes, Lord willing, I'm prepared.
Michael, who taught you all this stuff? Did you just come up? I mean, you're referencing comments and quotes that, I mean, Brian's made, that other leaders in the industry have made, but it took a long time to get to that point. What are you, 30?
31.
31 years
Yes,
old.
sir.
Like, who taught you all this?
I honestly,
You don't hear a lot of folks talking about the investment in people like you are.
Seeing people who have been there, seeing people who have set an example, and being willing to listen to them or pay attention, read. You know, I think honestly a lot of it has to do with my situation with my dad. I had to lean on other men. And so when I had to lean on other men, I'm more willing to listen. I'm more willing to take advice, because that's what's got me where I am. That's what has got me from 14 to 16, from 16 to 20, 20 to 25, you know, and so on. And that's, again, it's just like growing the dirt world. You know, it takes a cumulative effort, and it's, you know, growing in life. You're not going to do it on your own. There's books, there's podcasts, men, again, that are willing to pour into people. You just got to be courageous enough, or not courageous, but just be willing to reach out to them and talk to them. And they're going to tell you some stuff you don't want to hear. But, you know, a lot of times when you hear something you don't want to hear and they've been there, that don't mean they're wrong. That means you need to open your eyes.
Yeah. What a wealth of knowledge these people carry between their ears. I mean, you've got so many years of wisdom, experiences, and failures and successes that you can tap into. And these people, they just want to give it to you.
Yeah, that's right.
And they want to share. They want to tell you about their stories. They want to tell you their mistakes and how they got to where they are. And good for you for being just a student of the industry.
Yeah. Well, and that's, there's a guy from around Shelby that he's been in the grading business for, probably 50 years now. And I never forget, it was the very first commercial job I was ever awarded back in 2021, and I made a mistake, missed something on the quote, and, you know, I eat that, you know, and he joked and he said, well, you'll learn. He said, you know, you didn't go to college and that's fine, but he said, you're paying your tuition, you know, and so you learn, and you learn from your mistakes.
That's a great quote.
Yeah,
I love that. That's your tuition bill.
Yeah, that's right. So, but I hadn't made it again. That don't mean I've not made other mistakes, but I hadn't made that one.
You'd have to go back to that class.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell me about that. What are some of the hard lessons that you've learned along the way?
You know, I think a big thing as you get into jobs that are going to carry out and a little bit bigger jobs, you're obviously going to run into more issues, bad soils and rain.
Yeah.
You know, just all kind of different stuff, breakdowns. And in the beginning, you go out and you do something that takes you 1, 2, half a day, whatever, however many days it may be. You don't really run into stuff like that. And you don't know how to budget for anything like that. You know, you've got to have a little something in there for that. You can't charge anybody for it, but you got to understand, you know, this is real world.
You got to account for it.
That's right, because my dad always tells me a quote that my grandpa used to say all the time: somebody's got to pay the fiddler. He ain't going to saw for free. You know, and so it's just something to think about. You know, everything's got to be covered, and when something's not getting covered that you don't realize it's not getting covered, nobody's taught me.
Yeah.
So you don't realize it till it's too late.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. Unless somebody's just giving you a heads up and told you, like, those are the hard lessons that you just got to go through and experience and say, all right, next time I got a plan for that.
Yeah, for sure.
I got a plan for that, because you're going to run into it.
Absolutely.
You're going to run into bad soils. You're going to have rainy seasons like we did this year.
That's right. Bad employees, not bad or just inconsistency.
Injuries.
That's right. You just never know.
Yeah.
So there's no way to plan for that.
The joys of running a business, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but it's not just peaches and cream.
What do you wish you'd known before you started the company?
If I tell everybody, I know this is simple, but if there was one thing I wish I had done, I wish I'd have worked for a surveying company.
Really?
I do. I wish I would have really learned, because I know as I'm stepping in over the last few years into the commercial world and the stuff, I realize how much it would impact me to have had that knowledge beforehand to where now I'm not having to learn while I'm trying to produce, and then we can start integrating some machine control. And so it's like, rather than it just being a 1-2 step deal, like I've got to start at square one. And do I hire a guy that's his main focus, or do I take away from what I'm doing best
to go learn it?
And so it's, you know, little hiccups like that. And it's not a hiccup. It's just, it's a growth mindset. And you know it's the direction. And so that, to me, like I say, that's probably the biggest thing as far as a working, something to help me with work.
Build that foundation of the survey.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just for layout, you know, great. I mean, just everything. Like I said, when I started, I'd never used a laser, never used a transit.
Taught yourself?
Yeah. Just taught myself, call people.
Watching YouTube videos or what?
Honestly, I never did. I'd call my dad, hey, what about this? Or call other men, you know, that I know around that's in the industry, and men just poured into me. They was willing to talk. Again, you know, it's just, we're growing it together. We're in it together. And there's been a lot of men that's just really stepped up and helped me. And I mean, never read a set of plans till the first time I bid on a job I needed to, you know, and it's just calling, asking questions, Googling, hey, what's this abbreviation mean? You know, but you just figure it out. If there's a will, there's a way.
What a story. What a story.
Yeah.
What were some of the favorite parts of the summit? I saw you posted something about Grover, Tim Grover.
He was probably
pretty dynamic.
Yeah, he was. And I mean, I liked them all. Don't get me wrong. Probably from like a standpoint of just consistency. And I mean, they all touched on all of that, but Grover is probably my favorite from that standpoint about the hard work. And when you think you've done enough, you can keep going.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you, Nick, at the end, Lavery, however you say that, maybe I said that wrong, but his story is amazing. I mean, it brought me to tears a couple times.
Yeah.
You know, just you hear stories about people who have a little hiccup in life or something don't go their way, and they just lay down, and I'm like, man, I feel like a little wuss sometimes. You know, I mean, it's just to hear what that man went through, and then to hear how he's came out of it. And continued to grow and used it. And it's something that I, you know, kind of absolutely not to that level, but I kind of relate, you know, with the whole alcoholism thing. I'm like, you know, I want to make a difference like that. I want to show that you don't have to. You know, this is a choice you make. And it wasn't a choice that he made to get hurt, but it was a choice he made to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And every day he continues to. And so I don't know, I took a lot away from that, but the main thing I think I took away again was just that I can talk. I had a man sitting at my table that is, he's from Great Britain, and they deal with the same stuff. You know,
yeah.
Like it's just you don't really realize how small it is until y'all get together and you just talk about it.
Who was that? Do you remember?
I forget his name. The name of their company was like 𝘁𝗃.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. He came over. It was crazy. He was walking around. He said, give us the Dirt podcast.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I listen to it all the time. Yeah. And so Brian and I hung out with him a while that night. But that was really cool just to see people from all over the world.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And you had people like Tim that would get you so pumped up that you were just like ready to get in the game. Right. And then you had stories of struggle and overcoming adversity. And you hear these success stories with Ryan and things like that where it's one of our favorite events because of the relationships, just what you talked about. You got people like us that come in there and want to genuinely help each other and just bring some good back to this industry. Yeah, that's right. You know, and it's, with growth though, you know, there's risk, and obviously the bigger the risk, they say the bigger the reward. And that's one thing I try to tell people all the time, you know, like you're not just going to go out and charge more money to make more money because there is an industry standard, more or less, like it's in volume. And so
it's like that with anything. Well, if I want to do more, I've got to grow more. I've got to shake more hands. I've got to make more relationships. I've got to meet more people. And that was a thing that I went into it very open-minded, trying to, okay, how can I take the next step and grow? And I heard stories. I forget the guy's name from Florida.
Ryan Schmidt.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah, that's it. It's just like you there's fear. I mean, I would be lying if I said there's not a little bit of fear involved sometimes when you think about taking big steps, and you hear stories about people that pretty much fall on their face, but they keep fighting, they keep going, and they grow, and they come back from it better than ever. And, it's just, you learn from it, and you hear about the things he implemented into his company when he did fail, and he learned from those experiences. And so, as I'm growing and continuing to grow, I'm trying to learn and talk to people and implement standard operating procedures, implement safety protocol, implement an employee handbook, core values. That's something I'm trying to do right now, is nail down 3 or 4 that, hey, this is what we're going to stand on, you know. And so you meet with these people and you're starting to realize, okay, well, this thought I've had in my mind, this man is a successful man, and he does that. And this man over here that's from across the country or the world, he does that.
Yeah.
And this man from Mississippi, he does that. In New York, they do that. And so you learn to grow through things that you've already been told and things that you're trying to do. But it's just solidification, like, hey, you're on the right track, but sometimes you just got to take a chance.
Yeah. Well, and you've done that, and you got a track record of doing that, and you've done it successfully. But you're right, growth brings on a whole new set of problems.
Yeah.
Some of the challenges that you faced starting the business, they're tough, and you carry a lot on that. Carry a lot on your shoulders at that stage of the business. But when you start to grow, you got to give that to other people.
Yeah.
And so now you've got to start developing other Michaels, and you got to start teaching, and you got to start training, and you got to start developing people and doing some of these other functions of the business that you might not love doing.
Right.
So it's a beast. Yeah. The growth brings on a whole new set of problems, but it sounds like you're being intentional about making sure that you don't turn into something that you didn't want to be.
Yeah.
I know we were talking earlier that you said you don't want to chase jobs.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're home every night.
That's right. Yeah, and that's kind of the biggest takeaway I had personally, not from a business perspective, but it absolutely affects that, is I need to physically get myself in a better position. I need to get in better shape. I need to make better decisions. If I can't control the fork, and I know it's little stuff like that, but it goes back to James Clear's message. I read his book earlier this year, and it's atomic habits. I mean, it's little habits every day. And so how can I demand the best out of one of my teammates if I'm not putting the best of myself?
True.
And so I think it's a leader's mindset.
It is, and they're going to follow the leader's example. You're going to set the tone, but you're also going to find, too, that the world's not made up of a lot of Michael Botts.
Yeah. Well, I'm not.
Because if they were, we'd hire all 700 of them out there. But no, it's hard. Most people aren't wired the way you are, and that becomes a frustrating thing because you're going to want people to do it for the same reasons that you do it, in the same way that you do it, with the same heart that you've got. And as you start growing, you realize that's hard to find.
Yeah, no, it is, and that's to go back kind of on the doing those things and the whys and everything, it does. It's hard to find that, and that's where when I started to grow, and I did have to take a step back and say, okay, look, as long as it's right, it's good. But good enough is not good enough. If you have to say, well, that's good enough, then it's not good enough, because you're looking at it and saying, it's good enough, but I could have done better.
Yeah. And
so it's just about, implementing that mindset into the guys as we grow.
I saw you posted a quote from Tim. That was a pretty cool quote that he said, if you think the price of winning is too high, wait until you get the bill for regret.
Yeah, that's right. And that's kind of where that was like the lingering thought that I had in my head when I left Dirt World was, I've been talking a lot and doing a lot with growth for the last 8 months to a year. This year's been pretty tough. I'm not going to lie about it. We've been busy. We've had work. It's just been a tough year for a multitude of reasons. And, you know, it's like, are you going to really do what you set out to do, or are you going to have that bill of regret? Because your bill of regret, unfortunately, you never get it. You never get it until you can't do anything. And so if you get the bill of regret, it's too late. Yeah. And that's why you just got to keep going.
But you know it's out there. It just sits out there and haunts you.
That's right. It's just up here in a cloud, you know, and it's, you unfortunately, you know, most people don't have that till maybe they're on their deathbed. Yeah. Or they get, I mean, in a situation like Nick, you're like, I mean, he might have been trying to think of everything he should have done while he had 2 legs, you know, but he persevered through that. And so that was the biggest takeaway on that quote was, hey, I don't want that. Yeah. You know, I want to pay the price to succeed and provide for my family and give to my community, and I'm willing to.
What is that price for that young person that's out there right now that might be feeling the way you felt when you graduated from school and wanted to start the business? Like, what is that price? What does that look like?
I really don't think you can put a price on it.
But I mean, I'm talking about like it's late nights.
Yeah.
It's weekends.
Yeah. I think you have to have a long-term plan, because you get caught up in the here and the now and the tomorrows, and Keaton Turner always says the ball kickings, they're going to keep coming. Yeah. And you can't get caught up in that. You have to have a long-term mindset, and it doesn't matter what it is in life. Everything's worth something different to everybody else. And there's all these studies that show people don't make it past X amount of years in business and this and that, but it's just, you can't quit. You know, you can't quit, but you got to know when to quit. Yeah. And I think it's about being smart enough and learning. I'm not smart enough, but I'm able to talk to men who have been there. And so I think that price is whatever you make it. To me, it was, hey, I'm going to give it everything I've got, to where hopefully by the time I have kids, I can achieve one of my whys by taking a step back. I've got people working for me, and I can be there, and I can be at home at night, and I can get there at a decent time and not get in at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock every night. You know, and so to me, the price was just knowing that I had a goal in mind and I wanted to sprint towards it. But then I realized quickly the sprint wasn't going to work, because it's not quick.
It's not, yeah. It's not a sprint.
It's a long
run.
That's right. It is a long race. And so I just think, you know, for a young person wondering about the price, I think no matter what in life, whether you're working for somebody, you're an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. There is no overnight success story. There is no overnight success at anything. If you come here to work, you're not.
There's no easy button.
That's right. It's a long road. Yeah. And I think that's what most of these people need to see, is that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. There's no perfect job. There's no perfect place. There's nothing in this world that is ever just going to be a merry-go-round. You know, you're going to have trials. You're going to have trouble, and you just got to keep that long-term goal in the forefront.
Because the payoff is worth it.
That's right.
You know, I think we work so hard to make this industry look sexy and fun and trying to recruit the next generation that sometimes we forget to tell them that, hey, this is tough.
Yeah, that's right.
It's hard. And we don't want to oversell this thing, because you can't just come in here and think you're going to cruise into a superintendent position in a company truck. Yep. Everything. It's a lot of hard work to get to that point, but there's a lot of satisfaction. There's a lot of reward at the finish line. And so you've talked a lot about growth. What is this vision you've got? What does growth look like to you?
Well, I mean, my goal was kind of to develop myself, not myself, but I have to develop myself to develop my company to what I want it to be. And I want to be known as kind of like your small scale premier site contractor in the Cleveland County area. I mean, you know, when people come to town, they know who to call. You know, if it's a 2-crew company, I'm fine with that. But I want it to be, when we do it, it's done, and people know, hey, it's right. We've done what we said we was going to do. And I've never had a numbers mindset. It's always been about being the best we could be.
Yeah, that's our mentality about it too. There's no number, there's no size that we're shooting for.
Come with that.
Yeah,
you know, when you develop a standard, then people know to call you. And then there's only one option. If you got too much to do, you either scale it back or you scale it up. And you know, with that comes growth if that's the route you're looking to go in.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of the job?
I'll be honest with you. I like the office side of it. I miss the equipment. I miss being out there day to day, and I'm glad to be back out there right now. But I like to shake hands. I like to get in the office. I like to be involved in helping
set up deals and talk to partners and
see it.
What about doing estimating?
Yeah, I mean, that's something I've recently tried to heavily invest in. I've went from doing it by hand to I got some software, you know, and that's been a big help. And but you know, I think estimating's different for everybody because everybody's numbers a little different. But you know, it's something that I definitely enjoy doing, and when I'm not on the job every day, and I'm come by to check on things, make sure everything's good, make sure they don't need anything. It is nice to look back and see, hey, well, this is rewarding for me, and I hope it's as rewarding for my guys. I hope that I'm impacting their life. I hope that I'm impacting their families' lives, and I hope that they are feel as rewarded. And it's as rewarding to them to see their site coming together as it is for me.
Yeah.
So,
from your perspective, how's the whole system set up for someone like yourself to succeed? Are there barriers in place that prevent someone like you from being able to go out there that you like, this shouldn't be the case? It shouldn't be this hard. Or can anyone with the right mindset and character that you have go out and do exactly what you're doing?
Well, I think, you know, everybody's going to have their own drawbacks. I think one of mine sometimes is like I try to calculate things too much sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think, though, again, I said it earlier, like if you don't quit, if you just keep going, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. And so, but that comes with growth. At the end of the day, it's about meeting a need. When you're in the business of doing any kind of service, it's about meeting a need. Y'all meet the need of your clients. Y'all get the job. You carry the job out. You go on to the next one. A plumber meets the needs of his client, you know, and so it's just, if you're willing to meet a need, it might take a pivot in your business. It might take you making a small pivot to make sure that you're meeting the needs of this or that. It's like we talked earlier, y'all doing everything in-house allows you to have the volume of employees and the volume of work to keep things moving. Well, y'all meet your needs, you know, whereas some of these companies would rather sub this out and sub that out. So if you can meet a need for them, then that allows you to grow. So to me, I think barriers or mindset things, anything can be a barrier, but it could be that you don't want to go invest in a $250,000 dozer and somebody else will, and you don't want to rent it because you say it costs too much. You know, that might be a barrier that holds you back, and somebody says, heck, I'll risk going into debt on that. Mm-hmm. Because the reality is this is an expensive industry to get into, and people don't understand the financial burdens that comes, like starting from scratch, and you take out a loan and you do this and that. And so barriers, to me, goes back to mindset. It's like, what hurdles are you willing to jump to get where you want to get?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the coolest parts about this industry too. That's what we do every day. We find ways to deal with barriers, to get around the barriers, to address our problems. We come up with solutions that don't exist.
That's right.
To be able to do stuff, and that takes a mindset, to your point.
And that's really something like that I enjoy a lot. I never had really any thought of going to college. I started going to CCC, Cleveland Community, and I was there one semester. I changed my major 3 times. I said, I just want to work. And at the time, I was working on a farm, had about 800 cows on it, and I don't know. I feel like you can learn every day on the job, and one of the things though that it's made me think of, if I would have went to school, like I feel like I definitely would have wanted to do something in engineering, because that's one of the funnest things. Like, okay, well, we ran into a problem, and they'll ask, well, what do you think we need to do? The engineer may say, hey, what about this and that? And it's like, there's value add there to experience when you can add in some ingenuity, based on my experience or based on my guy's experience. Hey, what if we try this, or what if this? I really enjoy that aspect of the job.
Yep. No, that's the fun stuff.
Yeah.
That's why we do it.
That's right. Solving problems.
Get to be creative.
Yeah.
Solving problems. Well, Michael, this was so much fun. We didn't even have it scheduled. I mean, you reached out, you came by, and we checked out the academy and said, hey, let's jump into podcast studio. And I loved your attitude. You're like, all right, let's go. Let's do it.
Absolutely. It's been fun.
Yeah. Proud of you. That's so cool, what you've done. And what an incredible story. I'm glad we were able to tell it today. I hope this makes Mama and those two kids proud when they hear this. Charlie Joe, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
and Charlie Joe.
You need to work hard so that she can come run this thing one day.
Yeah. Oh, she'd be hard to handle. Yeah.
Well, Michael, man, thanks for being on the podcast, and lean on us as a resource. If we can help, you let us know how we can help you.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
More than you know.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and passion. If you like listening to the Give Us a Dirt podcast, we want you to hit the like button and subscribe for more great content.